Hello, this is Hannah Waldock, and today we're going to draw a fish in a fish bowl. I've already drawn it, and I haven't erased it, but for some reason, you don't see it. So,
He had worshipped and feared Rosh. He had fought and eaten and slept side by side with the hard-eyed men who made up Rosh's band. But the few days in Joel's passageway had shown him a new world. He had found someone to talk to, someone who had shared his own thoughts, and who had instantly taken Daniel's burden as his own. The memory of the pact they had made glowed like a warm coal in the heart of the forge. Lying in the sunlight, his back against the baked gray rock, Daniel repeated to himself the chronicles that Joel had read aloud, the glorious deeds of Joshua, of Phinehas, Saul, and David. Most of all, he thought of Judas Maccabeus, who had given them a watchword. The other mighty ones had lived and fought in distant ages, but Judas had lived in a time like his own, not 200 years ago when Israel was helpless as it was now, under the foot of the heathen. Judas, with his heroic father and brothers, had dared to rise up and defy the oppressor, and for a time Israel had breathed free air again. Here in these very mountains, Judas, young and daring and cunning as a panther, had hidden from his enemies and taken them by surprise. Many brave men had joyfully laid down their lives for Judas. But never enough, never quite enough. This time. There were young men everywhere who longed for such a chance again. Together, he and Joel would find them. The third member of the pact? He was not sure about Thasia. In all his life, he had known only 2 girls, and he did not understand them. Compared to his own sister, Thasia was like a brilliant scarlet lily, glowing and proud. He could count on her loyalty to Joel. In all else, she was unpredictable. The very thought of her was disturbing. He tried to shut her out of his mind as he shut out the thought of Leah. Both girls, so utterly unlike, seemed in some way to threaten his plans. The prospect of seeing Joel again occupied all his thoughts, and the opportunity came unexpectedly soon. A week after he was back at the forge, doing the light work that Samson allowed him, Rosh brought him a dagger to mend. It was a special dagger that Rosh had carried for years as a talisman, like a good luck charm, and some mischance had sent it hurtling down a chasm. 5 men had been sent to retrieve it. 4 had come back empty-handed, but hours later, the 5th, exhausted and bleeding, had brought the thing back. Rosh received it with scant gratitude. It was bent, askew, twisted out of the shaft, and useless. "Fix it," he demanded of Daniel. Daniel took the blade in his hand. He thought that it might be mended, but he knew that he could not do the job. "I don't have the right tools," he explained. "It needs a new collar and rivet. My forge doesn't give heat enough." "Then get a rivet." Daniel looked back at the man. He would think a new dagger would be easier to come by, but he knew that Rosh had attached some sort of luck to this particular blade. "In the city?" he asked. "Wherever you can find them. This friend of yours, Simon, he said he was an ironsmith. Could get them from him."
Get background music. Could I see it?
Just open up the whole thing.
Books. Quick.
He picked up a sharp pebble and scratched the shape of a bow on the mud wall, and, looking carefully up and down the street, crawled through the door and along the passage. He waited for a long time. Twice he cautiously pushed open the door and peered out, knowing by the shadows on the street that he must soon be on his way. When he had almost given up hope, Joel came crawling along the passage. "I checked every day," he greeted Daniel. "I didn't think you'd come so soon." "It was just luck," Daniel explained about the dagger. "Are you all right, Daniel? Thesia said your wound was not healed enough. You should have stayed here." With his usual thoughtfulness, Joel had brought a small loaf of bread, which Daniel munched gratefully. "I must find Simon," Daniel said. "It's time I started for Bethsaida." He hesitated. "Could you go with me? This Jesus, I'd like to know what you make of him." Joel considered. "There's talk about him everywhere," he said. "Do you think he's a zealot? Father says he is dangerous. I'd like to see him myself. Yes, I think I'll risk it." At dusk, the 2 boys emerged from their hiding place, and Joel led the way through unfrequented streets till they came out on the path above the lake. Below them, 4 men were sliding their boat into the water. As they watched, 3 of the men climbed aboard. One took the heavy oars in hand. The last man gave a shove, and the boat drifted slowly out from the shore, its image wavering on the glassy surface. The oarsman began to sing, and the others took up the melody. For a long time, as the boys walked on, the song floated back over the water with strange sadness. The village of Bethsaida was a tumbled mass of fishing shacks in the gathering darkness. Smoky light glimmered from the open doors of the huts. They followed the one narrow street till presently they overtook a man and woman who walked slowly to keep pace with a small boy who stumbled between them. Before Daniel could speak, the man looked back and questioned them instead. "Do you know which would be the house of Simon the fisherman?" "We're looking for it ourselves." The man nodded. "With so many looking, it shouldn't be hard to find. But the boy is getting tired. We've walked all the way from Cana today. They told us in town that the preacher would be at the home of Simon tonight." Daniel glanced at the child, noting the way he hugged one arm close to his body, wrapping it in his mantle. "It's his hand," the woman explained. She reached out and pulled the mantle aside. Both boys started at the glimpse of red, swollen flesh. The child flashed them a look of fury, jerked the mantle back into place, and trudged on, his eyes on the road. "Bit by a camel," the man said. 2 months ago and it won't heal. I'm a weaver, and so the boy must be after me. And a weaver needs 2 good hands. We only heard about the preacher yesterday, said the woman. We have not wasted any time. Daniel was puzzled. This preacher, is he a doctor as well? He asked. Where do you come from that you haven't heard about the preacher? The man demanded. Our neighbor, who came back from Capernaum, said that they